Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Peter Abraham. I'm a second career registered nurse focused in the area of advanced illness, typically those that would qualify for either palliative care or hospice care. Those are two separate types of services. I'm also a certified end-of-life doula through the International Doula Life Movement, an avid writer having published well over 500 healthcare articles, an avid author and self-publisher having published 21 books for hospice nurses, 24 books for caregivers, 5 books for holistic nurses, and 6 books for end-of-life doulas. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit. In this channel, we talk about issues related to death and dying. After all, we are all going to die. Wouldn't it be better if we understood the process of natural death and dying? In my experience as a hospice and palliative care registered nurse and an end-of-life doula, those who are prepared, those who are supported, have a better death experience than the unprepared. If these are topics of interest, please consider hitting the subscribe and the bell notification below so you're notified of new videos. I try to publish every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sometimes there'll be extra videos, sometimes an occasional gardening or house project update. If you like the different videos you're seeing, please do hit the like button. It does help small channels like mine in terms of getting the message out. The topic for today's video is going to be for my fellow hospice nurses. So that you're aware, sometimes I'll do videos for my fellow hospice nurses, sometimes for my fellow holistic nurses, sometimes for patients, caregivers, family members, and end-of-life doulas. Today's video is going to be going over for hospice nurses, specifically hospice admission nurses, looking at patients who've been asked to admit a patient and they had a fracture. And you might be going, there's no LCD, local coverage determinant for fractures. How do I do this one? And one of the many reasons why I wrote this book, which is used nationwide by a number of different hospice agencies, is it encourages you, empowers you to use critical thinking. It uses LCD support when LCDs are available, but there are situations where there are no local coverage determinants. You just turn the patient away when you know, if you examine them, that they have 6 months or less to live. And yes, you could use their specific fracture as the primary terminal diagnosis. You don't have to make something up. So I'd like to go over this topic from several perspectives. I'm just taking a moment here because I do have an article I'll put in a link below. But before we get there, for my fellow hospice admission nurses, yes, I'm biased, but I recommend this book if you do not have this book. I'll be speaking on this book more on March, I believe it's the 27th, last Friday of March of 2026, where I'm going to be on the South Carolina Hospice and Palliative Care Interdisciplinary Conference as one of the three, I think it's three, might be four keynote speakers. I'm the only nurse keynote speaker. But also recommend Mastering Dementia Admissions. This would be a subset for this book. This looks at any type of dementia, just giving you how do you know when to admit them and be able to keep them on service if they're eligible. With that, part of my holistic book series is Dementia Staging Mastery, to be able to master where is somebody at in their dementia process, their dementia journey, so that you can accurately admit them. And Updated for Hope is the third edition of the compliance-driven eligibility-based hospice documentation book. I should say compliance-based eligibility-driven, oh my word, my short-term memory bloopers. I certain edits I don't make. You get to see my foolishness. But this was updated for Hope, and it does include an admission template as well as example admission documentation as well. So going into this book, specifically on page 38, if you have the paperback, fractures in the geriatric population. The hip, femur, And vertebral fractures in older adults can significantly impact mobility and overall health. These fractures may lead to hospice eligibility when they result in severe functional decline and complications. Estimated life expectancy when properly admitted to hospice is 3 to 6 months. I do understand as I say that two things. One, the overall hospice admission eligibility is 6 months or less. And here I'm saying 3 to 6 months. And I also understand for those who are watching this because you're just interested in learning more, welcome. This video is informational. That's my hope. The hospice calendar is not, I have a video on this, is not like the traditional calendar or fiscal calendar. A person admitted under hospice does not have to die in 6 months or less. Hospice does not rush them to death. Hospice is there to remove preventable distress. Oftentimes, when admitted early enough, enhances life to the extent that loved ones could actually live 1 to several months longer than if they weren't on hospice. So getting back on track. And yes, for those watching, I did forget, and I'm going to come back to the gratitude moment before the end of the video. Please forgive me. I'm human. I have my moments. My wife can give you a laundry list of my moments. So key factors for in hospice eligibility for fractures. The fracture combined with at least one of the following. So what you are looking for, and this is for all admissions, not just for fractures. And yes, I wish we lived in a world of no fine print. The best, my best admission is stage 4 metastatic, go hand in hand, stage 4 metastatic cancer patient who's not receiving treatment. That, give me that, and I know the majority of the time, unless it's an extremely slow progressing cancer, the majority of the time, I have a win. I don't need to cluster. I don't need to combine. I will look because I'm the type that I want to make sure I have a solid case for admission. I want to make sure I covered the why hospice, why now question. So fracture combined with at least one of the following. Dependence on at least 3 activities of daily living. So you're looking for help with 3 activities of daily living. Malnutrition as evidenced by my fellow nurses. Anytime that you can use the words as evidenced by, take advantage of it and use it. It really helps solidifying your case. BMI less than or equal to 18 kilograms per m square. So you're looking for a body mass of less than or equal to 18. Dementia, that's why I brought up the dementia books. Decreased functional status, you're looking at the palliative performance scale less than or equal to 40%. You want at least one of those. The more you have, the better, but if you just have one, you have a case for moving forward. Declining clinical status despite optimal treatment. Patient or family chooses to pursue comfort care. That is beyond important. That is beyond important. Remember, hospice is an elective service, so you need the POA, the patient or family saying, we don't want aggressive treatment. We want to focus on comfort. So I'm going to pop over. I'm going to include this article in the link I have for those of you watching this on compassioncrossing.info. Just like I mentioned, I try to publish videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have articles pre-scheduled on compassioncrossing.info, articles that I've written pre-scheduled into February of 2026. Yes, I'm a geek. I don't get out much. I'm artistic. I love writing both articles and books. So I write about articles dealing with chronic illness, terminal illness. I have articles. The article coming out on Monday is some of the advice people are getting to become an end of life. I know I'm going on a rabbit trail. I'm going to get to the fracture article in a moment. But on Monday, October 20th, this video is going to be published October 29th. I'm publishing this in advance. Right, today is October 19th as I'm filming. So Monday the 20th is going to be an article, how do you become an end-of-life doula? And one of the pitfalls that a lot of people, I'm talking dozens upon dozens of people, are saying, if you want to be a doula, you need to do fill in the blank. And it's not that they're wrong. I want to be very clear, because I've had discussions with somebody who thought I was throwing them and other people under the bus. I'm not. It's just that their advice has a huge, gigantic yellow flag that people need to be aware of. On Wednesday the 22nd, the American Geriatric Society came out with a new way to look at the frailty trajectory model in terms of promoting meaningful conversations that hospice has to have, that palliative care has to have, that we as end-of-life doulas need to have with our families, our friends, our caregivers, as terms of the value of what treatment options are being pursued. So at this site, and this is the article that I'm going to now get to, rabbit trail a little bit complete, I have an article about looking at as fractures as potential terminal events. So hip fractures, red flags. These are your big ones. And just so that you are aware, my nurses, hopefully you would not miss this, but I like being transparent on this channel. And some of you might go, this person has written so many books, he must be very smart. I have a degree of intelligence. That doesn't mean that I don't have stupid moments. That doesn't mean that I don't forget things. I don't have brain fog or go, duh. But I've had cases where I had to remind myself, Peter, the pelvis is part of that structure. Duh. So I just put that out there in case you're like me and you're having one of those moments. You need to think of the whole structure versus, because if you're getting I got an admission, they got a pelvic fracture, you might not think, oh, hip connection. But so the hip fracture, they're in a vulnerable state. Surgery may fix the break, but the time spent in hospital, lack of movement, blood flow. I've had so many cases where my elderly loved ones, and when I talk about elderly, I'm talking about older 60s on up, a lot of times 70s, 80s, 90s, where they're having these fractures and they come home from the hospital or go to a nursing home, assisted living, whatever the case may be, from the hospital setting, and the doctors they're clear. Some have even said they don't need rehab, but underlying there's certain, I don't know if it's fractures that they're just not seeing on the imagery or other things going on, that there's just this downward decline. And we talk about this downward decline. I cannot encourage my fellow hospice nurses enough to do a thorough interview, the patient, the primary caregiver. So if we're talking, I mentioned nursing home, assisted living, personal care, skilled nursing, even if you're doing GIP, talk to the CNAs, talk to the nursing staff, talk to the family members. What were they like before all of this? Tell me about the last 2 weeks, the last 4, the last 3 months, the last 6, so that you get a trajectory. You can put on the calendar, you can see how close these events are to one another to justify the admission. Vertebral fractures may not be as immediate after the hip fractures, but a profound event. A lot of ripple effect in terms of mobility, not being able to do the ADLs. Remember I said one of them is help with 3 ADLs or more. So I'm going to keep this video short before I go to the landing zone. I did mention I forgot to say something. Everyone in life faces trauma day in and day out. They face grief day in and day out. And you might be watching this and say, what are you talking about? My life is wonderful. Or it's not trauma. I mean, I've had losses here and there. It's not trauma. But if you don't, kind of phrase, I'm taking a moment because I mentioned throughout my videos, this is a non-judgmental channel. I want to stay there. I do have my moments where I get on hot topics where I may seem like he's passionate about this. I wonder if he meant what he said about non-judgmental. Um, but I try to minimize those. But when you're have these micro impacts, if you don't have a level of resilience, it does come to a point in time where it just drags you down. So I do believe that resilience is something that we need to work on, build up, and get through over time. And to me, there are three pillars for building resilience. We talk about the third pillar on this channel on a regular basis. It's not a primary topic, but it's a question typically asked at the beginning of the video. I forgot this time. So what are you grateful for? And if you want to know about the other pillars, ask below. I'll answer to the best of my ability. But what are you grateful for? So what I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for Dr. Andy Arari. I just sent him a free copy of my latest book in the Caregiver support series, The Hospice Journey. Now, I did order my author copy. I won't be able to show you that author copy. It's supposed to arrive by or before October 29th. Remember, I said I'm filming this on the 19th. But this book, inspired by Dr. Andy Arari, he works for Vista Health out in Miami, Florida, as a medical director. But this takes a realistic look, not only on the benefits for the hospice journey, but what's the realism? Like, we're hospice nurses, we're not there 24/7 in the home. If you call us, let's say at 1 a.m. in the morning, which I want my families to call if they have an issue at 1 a.m., we may not get there at 1:30. We're not EMS. What if we're with a patient and so on? So it goes into the meat and potatoes, the reality that it removes the sales language. And so I sent him a free copy of the book in thanks. I'm thankful that this gets into me being an autistic geek. I just finished and published my fifth book in the holistic nursing series, Validation in Action, looking at compassionate communication with nursing. Not only looking with multiple case studies involved per chapter, but applications in med-surg, application in critical care, psychiatric nursing, home health, hospice, looking at symptom-based applications, looking at how we as nurses can benefit those we're mentoring and precepting. You don't want to eat your young. We want our young to bloom, to be encouraged and grow. So that book just came out. It was published today. I shouldn't say today. I put it to Amazon October 18th. It came out this morning, October 19th. Passed all the checks in the review. So Kindle, paperback, hardcover is available on Amazon. I'll include a link in the description below. I'm thankful for all of you who've been buying and reading my books. That in part helps me with Compassion Crossing LLC, where I offer my RN concierge and doula services, life transition service here in Madison County, Kentucky, on a sliding scale basis. I do a lot of free work in Madison County and the surrounding areas in terms of helping families in crisis. And it's only because of you who have been buying my books and reading my books, and I'm so grateful for that. They'll allow me to do that free work to help families in crisis. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you have any questions about this or other videos or want to see me cover a topic in more detail, please comment below. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Take care and God bless.